I was adding the last name to my guest list when my mom's text came through. Your sister's wedding is a family priority. We can't make it to yours. No explanation, no softness, just final. I stared at it for a moment, then typed, "That's fine," and closed my laptop. It didn't even surprise me. Growing up, it was always like this. My sister Chloe was the center of everything. She got the attention, the praise, the pride. I was the background, useful, steady, forgotten when convenient. Family photos proved it. She filled every frame while I was cropped out, blurred, or missing entirely. My achievements were met with polite nods, then quickly redirected back to her. I learned early that being reasonable meant staying quiet. So when they chose her wedding over mine, I didn't argue, but something in me finally stopped bending. 2 days later, Chloe called me like nothing had happened. She sounded cheerful, excited. "We got the venue we wanted. Same weekend as yours, but that's fine, right? Destiny." She actually said destiny, like life was a script written for her. I congratulated her calmly. That's what I always did. I was the understanding one. Then my mom called. Same message, different wording. Chloe's fiance's family could only do that weekend. They needed me to be flexible. Flexible, I repeated. "So you want me to move my wedding? It would be easier for everyone," she said. "For everyone except me." My father said the same thing later. "You're the strong one. You'll understand. That was always my role. The one who adjusts so others don't have to." After I hung up, I sat in silence. My wedding invitations were still on the counter. Beautiful, carefully prepared, imagined as something my family would be proud of. Now I imagine them ignored. And for the first time, I didn't try to fix it. I opened my laptop and booked a flight to Italy, a villa in Tuscany. No announcement, no fight, just a decision. When I arrived, the place felt unreal. Stone walls, olive trees, golden light everywhere. The caretaker handed me the keys and said, "This place waits for someone who sees it." That stayed with me. I started planning again, but differently this time. Not for approval, not for tradition, for truth. A long table under vines. No hierarchy, no family priority list. Just one space for people who actually showed up. I sent out new invitations, simple, handwritten. Not to everyone. To the people who had always chosen me when others didn't. My cousin Rachel said yes immediately. My grandmother too. Others followed. They didn't ask questions. They just booked flights. For the first time in my life, I wasn't waiting to be included. I was choosing who stood beside me. On the same weekend, my sister got married in Boston. I got married in Tuscany. In Boston, the hotel ballroom looked perfect at first glance. Flowers, chandeliers, polished smiles. But something was missing. Half the seats were empty. People kept checking their phones. Chloe smiled through it at first, but it started to crack. My parents looked confused, uneasy. No one could understand why so many guests hadn't shown up. Meanwhile, in Italy, everything felt alive. The table was filled with food, laughter, and voices that actually belonged there. My grandmother sat at the front holding an olive branch like it meant something sacred. Rachel cried when she hugged me. There was no performance. No pretending. Just people who wanted to be there. When I walked down the aisle, I didn't feel like I was proving anything anymore. I felt present. When photos from our wedding started circulating, someone in Boston finally saw them. Chloe's expression changed instantly. Confusion, then disbelief, because the people who were supposed to be at her wedding were in mine. Her smile collapsed. My mother stared at her phone like it didn't make sense. My father went quiet. No one said it out loud, but the realization spread through the room. They chose wrong. In Italy, I didn't celebrate their reaction. I didn't need to. I just kept going. Dinner continued. Wine was poured. Music played softly under the olive trees. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was competing for space in someone else's story. I already had my own. After the wedding, the calls started. My mother first angry, shaken, accusing me of humiliating them. My grandmother interrupted her. You spent years asking her to shrink, she said. Now she finally didn't. Then came silence. Not the painful kind anymore, the peaceful kind later. I sat at the empty table in Italy, watching the wind move through the vines. I thought about all the years I waited to be chosen. Then I set one final seat at the table, not for them, for the version of me who used to wait. And I realized something simple. I didn't take anything from my family. I just stopped letting them decide where I belonged.